Hey guys, Dwindling Elves here, and I've got another game with my Dark Elves against Wood Elves, and this is actually a rematch of the game I played previously. So if you want to check out the first game, check out game 19. So again, it's 2,500 points, and we're using the exact same lists as game 19. We just changed some of the terrain around. And so I've got my level 4 of Shadow, and he's got Miasma, Withering, Enfeebling, and Pendulum. I didn't actually roll up for Mind Razor. I had to actually choose between Enfeebling and Mind Razor, and I feel like Mind Razor is a bit of a crutch, so I wanted to try out this list without it, so I went for Enfeebling. Then I've got my level 2 Warlocks, who've got Soulblight and Doombolt, and he was trying out a level 4 of Light, this turn. Shadow didn't work so well for him last game, so he ended up rolling Foz Protection, Speed of Light, Light of Battle, and Net of Amantok. And I was really happy that he didn't end up rolling for or choosing Baroness Time Warp, because I think that's the most dangerous spell in that lore, especially when you can bubble it out for like pretty much nothing, and that would really be amazing on his Treekin as well as his Treeman. But as of for this game, I don't have to deal with it, which is nice. So here's the board. It's very similar to what last game. We just scatter some of the terrain around again. The only difference is the swamp in the middle of my lines, where my 2 crossbow units are, is actually a swamp, but the other 3 area terrains are still forests. So I tried something different this turn. I went for a castling strategy. So I pretty much played a refused flank, and I'm only playing on, I think, about 2.5 or 3 feet of the 6x4. So I have my 1 unit of shades in the forest on the left, then a unit of shades in front of my blackguard. Then I have 26 blackguard. My 2 crossbow units are touching that swamp, and they're going to go after. They're going to try to shoot his big unit right across from them. My level 4 is behind them. I didn't really know where to put these other shades, so I just put them right there. I could always go into the building once he gets around the building. Then my warlocks are right behind them, and I put my Cold One Knights with my BSB and the movement banner behind my warlocks, and so this way they can go either to the left or the right of the building and counter, depending on which way he chooses to go. As for his deployment, he's got 6 Treekin on the top left, then a small unit of 12 archers next to them. In front of them, being screened, are the Dryads. Then he's got his big group of 23 archers, and in there he's got both his level 4 and his BSB. He's got 1 Treeman, Treekin, another Treeman. His eagle is behind his center Treeman, and then he's got a unit of Dryads on the far right, and that was probably just to make sure that my scouts didn't get behind his lines. And then on my far right, I've also got a unit of fast cav that are just going to play chicken with his unit of Dryads the entire game and try to take pot shots at them. So I get the roll to go first again, which was nice, and I move up all my guys to be in range of his centermost unit of archers, and everything's just going to shoot at those guys my first turn. And in my magic phase, I don't do anything, and I kill, I think, 7 or 8 of these guys, which is enough to force a panic test, and he fails it. I think he's leadership 10 rerollable with his BSB in there, and he fails it, and he's like just almost going off the board. He's like an inch, so that was nice. It means that these guys won't be able to shoot, and if he moves up his army, they won't be in general and BSB range. So Wood Elf turn 1, he does rally them, and he just moves forward with the rest of his army. He's still hiding his big units behind the building. And I guess he hasn't committed yet, which I thought was a good strategy because it forces me to play defensive as well. And I can't overcommit with my cold ones. I can't go around one side because he'll just go around the other. And in the magic phase, he gets Bubble Foz Protection off, which is a good spell for him because it means my shooting won't do anything against the units I actually want to shoot at. So I'll be -1 to hit against his giant unit, his small unit, as well as his Dryads in the center. So his shooting does nothing, and we go to Dark Elf turn 2. I pretty much stay where I am, and my plan is, again, to shoot him. In the magic phase, I get the Withering off on these guys, so now they're going to be Toughness 3. So that should help a lot when I'm going to put all my shooting into these guys. And I do that, and I actually end up doing like no wounds. I didn't get anything through, despite the fact that they're toughness 3. But yeah, it happens. And I actually cast that with a resistible force, so I take a wound on my level 4. And Wood Elf turn 2. He moves forward very aggressively, and this is where I realized I made a huge mistake. So what I've been doing is castling, and it doesn't really work because my shade units have nowhere to go, and they're getting in the way of my other units. So he very wisely moved up his tree man in front of my shade, or in front of my archers. So next turn he's got the option to charge my shades or my archers, and they're easy charges. And I won't be able to countercharge him on my next turn, or I won't be able to charge him on my next turn because all my units are getting in the way of each other. So I've really screwed the pooch here. My cold ones are stuck behind the shades as well as the crossbows. So that was just a huge mistake on my part. And my opponent saw this and exploited it, which was a good move on his part. And in his shooting phase, he wipes out these 5 fast cav. And his tree man takes 2 wounds off of this crossbow unit. So this is what it looks like again in Dark Elf turn 2. So I've bottlenecked myself in, and my shooting units are getting in the way of my combat units, which is really, really bad for me. So that was just a picture of that. So this is what I end up doing. I charge the Blackguard into his unit of 6 Treekin. I feel alright about that. I'm ahead to a rank and a banner and a charge, and I should be able to kill a couple of his guys, so that should reduce damage coming back towards me. And then in the center, so I have to charge my rightmost crossbows out of the way so that I can get the cold ones into his tree man. So I do that, so I send them into the dryads, and I send the other unit of crossbows in as well, because I think one unit won't be able to kill him, but if I send 2 units in, I have enough attacks that maybe I could actually win the fight and break him. Now this opens up the door, provided my shades flank charge the tree man, for my cold one knights to charge into his tree man, but it's like a horrendous clip, and I'll only be able to get one guy into combat. So I won't actually be doing that many attacks, but this is the best I've got, because otherwise his tree man has free reign. So this is a huge gamble on my part. Huge gamble. Because I'm not going to be able to kill that tree man with the amount of attacks that I have coming in. And I'm just hoping that I get enough kills to break those dryads and the treekin. But I've got 3 combats and only have 1 magic phase, so ideally you only get 1 combat per phase, so you can just buff the crap out of that one. But that's not the case, and I'm really, really gambling here, just because I made mistakes I made earlier in the game. On this side, my fast cav run away from his dryads, and these guys are just going to play catch the entire game. They're just going to be shadowing each other. In the magic phase, I get enfeebling off on this unit of treekin, and their strength is reduced by 1. So now they're strength 4, which should help. It should save me a couple guys, and I can, at least have a 6-up armor save. In the shooting phase, my 2 units of shades shoot at this unit of archers and pick off 4 guys, and which forces a panic test, and they actually fail their panic test. So my opponent's been getting very unlucky with his panic tests, with his archers, that is. So we go straight to combat, and I kill 2 of his, and he kills 5 of mine. So I end up winning by charge, banner, musician, 1 extra kill. I think he's on like a 3 or something. And he breaks, and I'm able to run him down, and I pursue like an 11, so I'm all the way out there. In the center combat, I think I end up killing 1 guy, and he kills 3 or 4 of mine. And I think I end up winning on musician. And he's at a general and BSB range, so he's on a 7. And he ends up breaking. So I send 1 unit after him, but I don't end up catching him, and I take the other unit on the right and I reform. And I do that so that they get in the way of his treekin, so his treekin can't charge my cold one knights on his turn. So they're just going to sacrifice themselves and be a roadblock. Then in the tree man combat, I charge in and I do 0 wounds. It's not unsurprising because I don't have that many attacks, and the attacks I do have are all at strength 5, and he's still toughness 6 with a 5 up armor save and a 5 up ward save. And he puts all his regular attacks into my BSB and does no wounds. And he puts his stomps into my shades and kills 4 of them. So he's got 4 kills, and I have a charge, a flank, and 2 banners. So I end up winning on Musician. I thought this was exceptionally lucky for me. I think if he had just put all his attacks into my shades, I wouldn't have had the flank, and I probably would have. I would have actually lost combat by 3. But in this case, I won just by Musician, which I thought was very lucky. So he's stubborn 8, and he breaks, and I catch him. So that was really, really lucky, and so this huge gamble this turn has paid off for me. So I got very, very lucky here, and just because I won every single fight. So that was very, very nice. And right now I've got 2 of his big combat blocks off the board, and he's got 2 left, and I've got my 2 blocks to deal with them, so I feel very good about the game right now. So on his turn, his Treekin charge my archers, and I know I'm gonna, those guys are going down. And his other tree man charges my cold ones. I feel okay about that. If anything, if he does win, I'll be steadfast, leadership 9, rerollable for a while. His archers rally, as do his dryads. And he flies his eagle up to be in front of my warlocks. And I guess to be threatening the flank of my Pegasus as well. Over here, his dryads keep moving up, and we're just playing shadow games on the right. In the magic phase, he gets Net of Amontok off on these guys, so if I charge the eagle, I gotta pass a strength 4 strength test. So I feel okay about that. If I don't get to charge the eagle, it's not a big deal. So I let that one through. And in the combat phase, he easily beats and destroys my crossbowmen, and he catches them when he pursues, and he pursues into my second crossbow unit. And obviously, I'm not liking my chances there. And in the center combat, his tree man again puts all his attacks on my BSB, but I've got a 1-up rerollable armor save, and he does no wounds. I do no wounds to him. So I end up winning, but he sticks. So Dark Elf turn 4. My warlocks pass their strength test and are able to charge the eagle who flees, and he flees through the building, so I won't be able to catch him. And then my Blackguard turn around, and they're going to face the center of the board. And my 2 units of shades move into that forest, and I'm going to pick on those archers at the top of the board. And then in the magic phase, I get Soul Blight off on his Treekin. Or not his, sorry, not my apologies, not his Treekin, his Tree Man. So that's nice. Now he's only strength 5, toughness 5, which means I'm winning him 5s instead of 6s. And I get a better armor save against him. On this side, yeah, I just keep running away from these dryads. We're going to go play hide and seek for the rest of the game. In the shooting phase, my 2 units of shades shoot at his 6 archers or 8 archers and kill them. So that was nice. And in the combat phase, I do 2 wounds to him, he does 2 wounds to me. I win because I have 2 banners, and he sticks on his stubborn. And over here, yeah, I don't do any wounds to him. He does a couple of wounds to me. I'm on Insane Courage, and I break. But he chooses not to pursue. So he had a choice here. If he pursued, then he would get an easy charge into my Blackguard on his turn. Or he could have reformed and gotten the easy charge into my cold ones, and he decided that he was going to go after the cold ones. So that's what he does. He gets an easy charge into the cold ones. His giant unit of archers reform, and they're going to shoot at my shades who have walked in the building the previous turn. His eagle rallies, and his dryads march up as quickly as possible, and they look to be going after my bolt thrower or maybe my shades if I don't move those guys out of the way. And on this side, his dryads make a run towards the center, and I guess they're going to go after my shades in the building. In the magic phase, it gets Faw's protection off. I let it go through. The only spell that I was worried about letting happening was speed of light, so I did not need his Shriekin going to weapon skill and an initiative 10. So that was the only one I was really concerned about stopping. And then in the combat phase, I think I do 1 or 2 wounds. I think I do 1 wound to his tree man and 1 wound to his Shriekin. And he does 2 wounds to me. I have 2 banners, and I think it's either I lose by 1 and I make my rerollable, or it's a tie and he makes his, but it's a very close combat, so we both end up sticking around. And Dark Elf turn 5. So because I was able to hold with my cold ones, I got a reasonable charge into the flank of his Treekin, so my Blackguard are absolutely going to eat those guys, or at least do some damage, and at least provide enough combat res to help me win that combat. My Shades walk past his Dryads on the left, and my Bolt Thrower actually just walks 3 inches or 2.5 inches backwards, whatever the maximum amount that I can walk backwards, so that those Dryads have a very long charge against them. And over here, I march my fast cav into the forest on this side, so that he can't teleport out of it and into this one. But in doing so, I fail 3 of my dangerous terrain tests, but luckily I don't panic and I still hold. And then in the magic phase, I cast Soul Blight on the Treekin, so now their strength and toughness 4, so their damage potential is reduced, and I'm going to be wounding them a lot easier with my Blackguard, so that's going to make a big difference. But I cast it with Irresistible Force, and I lose 1 guy. The Warlock miscasts are just amazing, so you take D3 wounds, but you still get your 4 ward save against it. So you either lose maximum 3 guys, but they still count as a level 2, or you might lose no guys. You know, you have I think statistically, each miscast you lose 1 guy, which is nothing. Like it has, and you still keep all your dice to cast other spells. Like they're just so amazing. So in the combat, I killed 2 Treekin, and I might put an extra wound on his Treeman, so his Treeman's down to 2 wounds left. His Treekin break and his Treeman sticks, but I'm able to catch him with with my Blackguard, and he killed 1 cold one night, and he did 2 wounds to my Blackguard, so I got pretty lucky there as well. And we go to Wood Elf turn 5. So he turns his Dryads around to threaten my Shades. His other Dryads charge the building to take out those last 2 Shades over there. And he turns his bunker around, and he's going to shoot at my Shades, and yeah. He's got a lot of shots there, and he hasn't shot his Hail of Doom arrow yet, so in the last 2 turns, he could potentially take out these 2 units. And so he puts all his shooting into 1 unit, and there's 1 guy left at the end of it, which is nice, which means I can just run away and try to preserve his points. In the combat, yeah, his Dryads make short work of the Shades in the building, and the Treekin and the Treeman... Oh, sorry, so for the Treeman fight and the Cold One fight, he does 2 wounds to me and I do none to him, but I have 2 banners, and I end up winning on music. Oh no, I don't end up winning on music, so it's a tie. And I believe this is actually the last photo of the game, so we called it after this game, or after this round, because I was going to charge my Blackguard and put all my magic into the Treeman fight and maybe wipe him out. His shooting could have maybe, shooting with the Hail of Doom arrow could have probably taken out the last 2 units of Shades, so I'm kind of surprised why my opponent called it. I think I was probably still ahead in points, but I think it was getting late as well, so we just decided to call it. So it was a victory for me. A couple of things I learned. Don't try to castle with the Shades list. I think you can castle, but I really just screwed up my deployment and got I got my cold one stuck behind my guys, and like I had my combat units stuck behind my shooting units, which is not the best way to play this. I think obviously Shades, the way to play them is to get them behind your opponent's lines, but it's very difficult to do considering that his shooting is still decent, and he's got those 2 units of 8 Dryads who are very difficult to shoot with my Shades and will outkill me if I get in the combat. So I think I won the game based on my very lucky turn 3 gamble, so I got 3 charges off into 3 combats, and I won all 3, and I ended up breaking 2 of his units and catching them, so that was huge for me. And what that allowed me to do was my 2 combat blocks only fought 2 of his at any given time, which is another reason why I think I won this game. I think if he got both his tree men in a dual charge into one of my units, that's going to hurt me a lot. Or if he could dual charge as a tree man and treekin into my my blackguard, that's going to delete them very, very quickly between the stomps and the thunder stomps and the high strength and toughness. There's really not a lot I can do there. But the fact that I got one unit in the one unit, one unit in the one unit on a couple of occasions really helped me out, and I think that was a difference maker. Now, the other thing that really helped me was magic. So he got unlucky with his roll, so he had to choose between Speed of Light and Barona's Time Warp. So he only has 2 combat buffs, whereas with my list, I have 3 combat buffs or debuffs from Shadow, which will help me win combats, and then I also have Soul Blight, so I have 4 spells. So, if I get a reasonable dice roll, I can cast 3 of those, and he can probably stop 2, but I'll always get 1 combat debuff or buff on them that'll help me win crucial combats. But with what he rolled, he only had 1 spell that would actually affect combats, and that's the only one I cared about. So as you might have noticed, he never got Speed of Light off, because I was always saving my dice to stop that one. And so he was never able to support his combats with magic, and I think that really helped here. So just playing Shadow means that, generally speaking, you're going to get 3 debuffs that'll help you win combats, whereas with Light, you can only get 2 maximum. And if you don't get lucky on your rolls, you might only end up getting 1, so it's very easy to play against in the magic phase. So I think that really helped me a lot. And yeah, those warlocks are also ridiculous. I think it would be pretty dirty to run 2 units of 5, but I think that's very, very doable. The only downside is you don't have a scroll or a level 4. I think a level 4 at that point with a scroll is maybe magic overkill, but actually, if I've removed the Pegasus and the black and the Shadow Cloak, that's 100 points off. That's enough to almost buy me a second unit of Warlocks. So that might actually be a good move, and only have the level 4 for Dispelling, because those Warlocks, you can throw 6 dice at Soul Blight and not care. Statistically speaking, if you miscast, you'll lose 1 guy. You can get unlucky and lose 3, but even then, the unit is just as effective for casting magic. They're absolutely ridiculous. So you don't really care about the miscast. So I might actually try that in the future, but that's more of a competitive list, and I'd rather, stick with a friendly list. But I think in a competitive Dark Elf list, you really should be running 2 units of these, and then maybe just a level 4 or a level 3 with a scroll, or even a level 2 with a scroll, just for some magic defense. So hope you guys enjoyed it.